Hello everyone, this is Cesar, and disaster after disaster. First, remember the ones who follow my channel, how badly I did cut my index finger. Is healing really very well. Looks still gross, but it looks much worse than it is actually. And after that, well, I mean, we had an accident. And this is another proof that my guitars are playing guitars. They are not lady cases. I mean, they go where I go and they play where I play. This is my Pulse guitar, core model, American core model, and it has taken a very bad hit. I'm not gonna go into the details, and I have to change the nut. I'm not gonna cut a blank. I'm not gonna cut a bone blank. This is bone actually. I'm gonna go straight with the TUSQ, right? And I will tell you the reasons why later. Let me show you the disaster in a more close perspective. Well, I hope you can see with the zoom how bad it looks. Thank God the guitar didn't suffer major structural damage, right? Other than the nut totally broken. Well, anyway, the idea is that we are going to replace it with a TUSQ nut. I really like TUSQ. Other than I'm not gonna cut a bone blank, I'm not good at doing that. If you need to replace a 594 nut or a PRS core nut, this is the right one. The dimensions are the ones that you see here. We will talk later about that, okay? And yeah, I mean, this is bone actually, but as I said, I'm not going to cut a bone blank. We are gonna go through the entire process, and I'm gonna do it the way I do it. So the gurus out there, don't go into my comment section, please. I'm doing it like this because it's the way I like it, and honestly for me it works perfectly, right? So stay tuned. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to get rid of the strings, of course, because we have to. And this is especially dedicated to my haters, right? So there we go. Especially dedicated to you. And now, just to avoid the tail falling, okay, see, easy. Take the tail out, tail piece out, and we are gonna get rid of the strings properly. Your ruler, so you can unscrew the little screws on the headstock. There are people saying that they don't like to do this. This is the reason why they don't like PRS guitars. Hey, each one has its own preferences. I can tell you. Well, let's shut up, right? And once we get rid of the strings, we are going to take the truss rod cover out, right? And we will extract the old nut. And I will tell you why I like TUSQ nuts instead of bone nuts, right? And again, for the purists, and this is something that you always need to take in account. I am classically trained. I've been playing classical guitar for years and years and years and years, right? And the classical guitars, all of them, the quality ones, have bone nuts and bone saddles. So it's not that I have anything against playing with bone nuts and bone saddles, right? Because I've been doing it all my life. But one thing is playing nylon strings, and a very different one is playing steel strings. And precisely because of playing steel strings in electric and acoustic guitars, this is why I much rather prefer TUSQ than bone. Bone wears with time, and you will always have to, one day or another, replace your nut and refile it, etc., 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 etc. If you play a lot, and especially if you are using guitars with vibrato, not tremolo, vibrato, right? The bone wears and wears and wears and wears, right? And this is out of experience, guys. So I prefer to have Graph Tech nuts on my electric and acoustic guitars. But As I don't like to modify guitars, if they come with a bone nut, I play the guitar as it is, and if one day I have to replace it, then I use a TUSQ Nut. So let me give you a better perspective now, because we are going to work at the headstock. Now we are going to get rid of the truss rod, momentarily of course, and we are going to use this small screwdriver. And I like it because it's small and, well, it has many different tips. Quality is not that good, but who cares, right? For these small things, it's perfect. So we see now the truss rod cavity exposed. And the reason why I'm taking the truss rod cover off is because it's here making contact with the nut. We are gonna get rid of the nut, and with the truss rod it's going to be much more difficult. Now we are going to protect our guitar with this microfiber cloth here that you can buy at the Walmart on bulk, and they are really very cheap. We have this small piece of wood that we are going to put against the nut here, right? And we are going to hit our guitar, the nut, hopefully, with a very somehow precise hit here, so we can take the nut off. And it looks like it went perfectly out. Well, a little bit of a residue here. So you see in a much better perspective how she took the hit, right? Very good. Next step, let's talk about nut measurements, and some of them are really important. Now a little bit of education. Let me cut open the new nut, and be careful with the blades, guys. You know what happens to your fingers, right? Things that are important for you to know if you're gonna change the nut on your guitar, right? Because I see barbarities in YouTube. First, make sure that it's gonna fit, right? So make sure that the nut is going to fit in the space that it has to fit, right? Good. That is evident, but believe me, look into what some people does, right? In YouTube, it doesn't look that evident, right? Let me just try to zoom a little bit here. Okay, now, measurements that are important are, of course, the width, okay? Investing one of those calipers is not really a huge investment. This can do millimeters and inches. I have it in millimeters because my origins are European. What can I do? So the old nut has a 534, 533, 531, 535, so around 535 millimeters. The new nut is a little bit wider, 589. That's good because we can always take off some material from the TUSQ Nut. Great, right? Make sure that your calipers are zeroed, of course. Make sure that what would be the neck width, okay, of the nut is gonna fit. 42.75 is the old one. The new one would be about that because I already know, but just to show you. 42.86, which is good, right? Let's make sure that the nut height is the right one. And also that you're measuring it in the highest point, okay? Sorry, 7.87, let's take the right one, the new one. 7.94 is a little bit more, great, we can take some material off. And now, to me, the most important thing, because the others are evident, is the E to E. The E to E distance is fundamental. And let me tell you something, I have seen people trying to replace their nuts and put in a nut that was making their guitars unplayable because the distance between E to E was much higher, well, much. Even with a small fraction, your high E probably is gonna slip out of the fretboard, okay? And let me tell you something about the original nut. The E to E distance in this nut was a little bit too high, and I knew it because sometimes involuntarily, totally involuntarily, I was making the E string getting out of the fretboard, right? And I took measurements time ago, and I found out that the space between the strings was not even, and between the first and the second string, the space was a little bit too high. Nothing dramatic, right? With a small adjustment of your playing technique, you could get around the thing, but the idea was that one. And as you have seen, the new nut practically does not need any modification other than a little bit of the width, okay, that we will basically sand over a very, very, very flat surface. I'm going to spare that for you because it's not intellectually attractive. And a little bit of the height, but in the height of the nuts, and this is something that I do probably differently than most of the people, I never sand the bottom of the nut. I always cut a little bit more the grooves. There's a guy, Sam Deek, I'm gonna put here a link to that video, that has a fantastic video about nuts. Everything you need to know about guitar nuts is there. He's a great guitar tech, and I absolutely encourage you to go watch Sam Deek and subscribe to his channel. He's a great guy. Anyway, this is what we are gonna do. Now we are gonna sand in a flat surface the width of the new nut to make it fit into the old space, okay? Well, we are done with all the sanding, and the new nut fits perfectly in this space. So you see there's no gap there, and we don't even need to touch the width of the nut because it fits perfectly with the neck width, right? And well, I mean, there's no, you can feel it's uniform here. Of course, we will need to glue it later. We will talk about gluing or not gluing nuts, but it's really good. Now, let me tell you a couple of small tricks. You need to make sure that this slot is perfectly clean, right? I have used a little bit of sanding in order to get rid of the glue, small particles of glue that were there. Make sure that the place where the base of the nut is gonna sit, so the bottom of the nut is gonna sit, is also perfectly clean, right? After making sure that the slot is perfectly clean, I have used a little bit of Ronson oil, right? So every single particle that is left will be clean, right? Won't be there. And once you are ready, what you need to do basically is making sure that your nut sits perfectly there. Well, and now what we are going to do is we are going to put the first and the sixth string, just the first and the sixth string. So we are going to see how it fits, and if we like it, and I think we are going to like it, we are going then to drop small amount of super glue, just a drop, in the nut, and we will put the rest of the strings. I think it's going to be perfectly okay. I'm not tightening the screw. Where's my first string? It's here. Yes, it's there. Guys, my eyes are not what they were, so I'm wearing glasses to do this, okay? Just tighten a bit the string, just a bit. I think we really like it very much. There's, as I said, the fit from the width perspective is absolutely okay. You cannot feel the nut. You cannot feel the nut here at the neck, right? Which is fantastic. We like it. We really like it. And let me tell you that we are not going to be forced to carve a lot on the slots, okay? So now we are going to put a single drop of super glue here always in this part of the nut, never at the bottom, right? And one curiosity, most of the manufacturers of classical guitars, especially the ones that are medium to high end, never glue the nuts, right? Just for you to know, okay? Now, let's go ahead and let's put a single drop of, sorry, I'm tightening, single drop of super glue in our new nut. Then we will string the guitar and we will start carving a little bit because we are not going to need that much, as I have seen the new nut. I'm very happy with the Graph Tech Nut, right? The TUSQ Nut. Here we come with our super glue, just a small drop, very small, right? You can see it. Pick. With that, it's more than enough, okay? That's the one. Very good. We put the strings. Hey, let's basically close the super glue just in case. Let's tighten a little bit the first and sixth string. And when we're happy with placement of our new nut, and we are, it sits very well, sits perfectly where it has to sit. Now we are going to string the guitar and then going string by string, carving the slots. I don't think we have too much to carve, right? Anyway, I want to spare you from the restringing. So what is the idea? The idea is that we are going to check at the third fret in each one of the strings, and we are going to press to see what is the travel, the distance the string has up to the first fret, right? And as you see, you can really make it a little bit shorter here. This will mean that we'll go string by string, doing the same, because this will have an impact in the playability of the guitar. I could give you the measurements, but I much rather prefer to do it by feel. You need to be really very careful, because once you cut too much, you can't, well, you can, right? You can put there some TUSQ dust and then super glue in the groove, but it's not going to be the same. I'm going to use the files that I have, that are the files, the STUMAC files. Those are the ones I have for many years. If you have several guitars, I really recommend you to get yourself one of these sets, because you are going to use it, honestly. If you play your guitars, if your guitars are not played, no. So, we have seen that it can use a little bit of cutting. Now, let me try also to give you a perspective on how we are going to do it, okay? We are going to cut in the same angle than the headstock, okay? Okay, string, and let's check. We can go a little bit lower, and we are going to do the same for the six strings, guys. It's a little bit of patience, checking very frequently. we can still go a little bit deeper. And I think it's really good there. We are going to repeat the same with all the 6 strings, and once we're done, we will check the playability, we'll take the strings off, we'll clean the fretboard, and all that jazz. Now, next steps. As we have not taken any material off the bottom of the nut, we are going to do it at the top with this file, okay? It's a fret file from TUSQ Nut. This is the one that I always use. This is the reason why we have taped the guitar here. By the way, when you are filing your slots here at the nut, if you don't feel comfortable because you are not used to do it, you better tape your guitar so you avoid hitting the headstock with the file or hitting the fretboard, okay? I don't do it when I'm filing the slots, I do it when I'm using a more aggressive tool like this one. So we are gonna go on top of the nut, right? And we are gonna take a little bit of material off the saddle. How much? Well, more or less enough for the half of the string to show up on top of the saddle and half of, the nut, and half of the string in contact with the nut, right? This is something that you will get if you do it several times. With the TUSQ nuts, it's not that important because those are permanently lubricated, so the string gets not trapped too much in here, but I still, even for aesthetical reasons, I prefer to do it. Once we get to the shape that we want, right, and to the height that we want, we are going to use different grades of sandpaper to do the fine tuning. And I'm going to spare you from this because, again, it is not very interesting seeing me filing on top of the saddle, the nut, okay? Well, we are very happy with the end results. The edges are smooth, and if you pass your finger on top of the nut, you can perfectly perceive, you can perfectly feel the string, meaning more or less half of the string is showing up on top of the nut, which is exactly what we wanted. I have marked slightly with a pencil some of the slots, and let me see if you can see what I forgot to tell you while I was carving the slots. If you look at the slots, they are not perfectly straight. They open a little bit here at this part of the nut that is closer to the tuning pegs. They do like a V, okay? They are straight here at the beginning and then they open a little bit here. I do that with the filing tools while I'm filing, and I open the slot a bit. So you create like a V shape, right? And I learned that from the same guy that I have mentioned in the earlier part of the video, Sam Deek, okay? Go and take a look. So now we are going to take the tape off, go to a complete cleaning of the fretboard, a little bit of the frets, we'll do a little bit of a polish, yeah. We will restring the guitar and do a complete setup, but that will be for another video because it's getting too long. See you very soon in my next one, and up to that moment, please play your guitars, have fun, and be good. Bye.